Listen, I know we've got a fire Game 7 coming up. And also in the NHL, we have a team that forced Game 6 that no one is talking about. The Dallas Stars are still alive, you all, and both games are coming on tonight. But before we do all of that, this is a special Pundit Views. That's right. It is Ask Jake Anything Pro Wrestling Edition Part 2.
No,
So
I wish I was going into this. I absolutely wish I was going into this with another win because I was 3 seconds away from another pick. Another awesome pick, darn it.
oh man.
That was a hell of a game the other night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That one you absolutely hit on, correct?
Yeah. Oh, I missed that one. I missed that one. It's like
man.
I was 3 seconds away. I picked Miami to pick that one.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, anyway, this one will be a half-hour edition, and once again, it's the Pro Wrestling Edition Part 2, and it could be a preview to a future project. We'll let that stew. So, with that being said, now, oh, and by the way, everyone, Jacob knows none of these topics. Okay?
I don't need to know the topics. I don't need to. I'm ready.
He's right. He's right here and he's ready. So he's shooting from the hip tonight. All right.
Oh yeah. The only thing that would be crazy if you said I had a script.
I know, right? Yeah. So the roles are in reverse tonight, or inverted kind of. So Denzel Snipes, I'm the host. I'm usually the producer. And usually Jake is sitting in this seat. You know what I mean? But we decided to switch up and do a little different tonight because, hey, sometimes here at Sideline Sports we're a little unpredictable. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Should Lex Luger be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? The man's had a storied career. From his days in the NWA and WCW, where he was United States champion, he won a World Heavyweight Championship. He also was a horseman. A lot of people don't talk about that. He went to WWE. I thought they could have had him accomplish a little more than he did in WWE because pretty much his WWE run consisted of body slamming Yokozuna and co-winning the Royal Rumble. Nothing ever really came out of it. But also, he pulled the stunt of appearing on the first ever WCW Monday Nitro just 1 week after a handshake agreement to Vince that he would stay with the World Wrestling Federation. But he went on to be staple in the WCW versus NWO storyline, won the World Heavyweight title on the 100th episode of WCW Monday Nitro by upsetting Hulk Hogan, who had the title for 12 months up until that time period. He went on to join the NWO Wolfpack, being one of the hottest sensations in 1998. If you ask me, I will tell you that the top 3 hottest things in 1998 was Stone Cold Steve Austin, DX, and the NWO Wolfpack. Anybody out there that wants to find something more popular, you are more than welcome.
Wolfpack and Jack gets mass destruction. Nice to see the bad boys. That was the you know who made that song, don't you?
Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart wrote the lyrics. That still blows my mind to this day.
Jimmy Hart, the G.
Yes, absolutely. And so, and he also had kind of a checkered history with kind of domestic incidents with Miss Elizabeth and everything. Unfortunately, she passed away. It was a drug overdose, something like that. But, all that. And then it also came down with a condition. She had a stroke, lost a massive amount of weight, had to retire and everything. And in recent years, he's actually learned how to walk on his own again. But getting back to his career, just wanted to ask you, should he be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame?
Oh, absolutely. He was tremendous in WCW. He was tremendous. See, here's the funny thing, though, about Sting and Luger. Luger started out better than Sting.
Yeah.
No. Hey, well, what's going on? No.
Thanks,
yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for your service, by the way, Denzel.
Hey, no problem, man.
No. But let me tell you this: Lex's career started better than Sting's did. Sting was off with another Ultimate Warrior over in Dallas, looking terrible. They all looked terrible. Sting just wanted to learn. Sting just wanted to learn. Warrior never did. He admitted it. Everything. He didn't want to learn. Luger, he kind of after Rick took. We got to remember, Rick took Sting under his belt between '88 and when Rick left. They either wrestled each other. Or they were tag teaming each other and wrestle again before he left. So Sting had that whole time with Rick to get better. Now, that doesn't mean, but the thing is, Luger gets kind of stonewalled a little bit. He kind of got boring, kind of stonewalled, but he was over. He was flat out over. And the whole Miss Elizabeth thing, I'm going to absolutely put that on Vince Russo also, because of one big reason. He had Elizabeth wrestle those. He had Elizabeth wrestle and take bumps and use chairs and do all that stuff, which her body was not accustomed to.
No, it was not.
And so here's the thing: if she was taking pain pills along with Lex, it means she was in pain too.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then she can't take Lex's dose. That was obvious because she weighed about 97 pounds.
Yeah,
probably about 112 pounds after the thing. When she was looking really hot in those years, but she was still like 120. I mean, that was the thing. She was this big. You can't take his dose, and that's what happened. But I'm like, does this happen if idiot Russo doesn't have her wrestling? Which she wasn't. Maybe she didn't take the regular type bumps, but she's swinging chairs. She's doing things physically she shouldn't be.
And she shouldn't be.
And
outside of like a little slap every now and again, you know?
Yeah, well, Jake didn't touch her.
Who?
Jake didn't touch her. He gave her a little whitewash, then she went to her knee. She didn't even bump then. She bumped that one time with Macho.
Oh, yeah.
She bumped with Macho and Hogan. She bumped that one. Other than that, that was not her job. And it's like, all of a sudden she's swinging chairs and she's doing all that. I'm like, that's not Miss Elizabeth.
That's not her. That's not her.
But no, Luger though, the biggest thing is I think they're just doing it because they're keeping her away because they're afraid of everybody on the internet saying he killed Miss Elizabeth. But Luger has changed his whole life around. He was as far as wrestling, he was good. He was good enough to make it. He was over. As far as his career, after his career was over with, he's made up for it. He lost all his muscle and he's happier than ever.
Yeah.
So it's like, the biggest thing is you might as well give it. This isn't the Axe and Smash situation where they sued WWE. This isn't that situation. It's time to let bygones. If you can let big guns be bygones with Bruno Sammartino, and Bruno used to bash him serious.
Yeah,
you can do it with Lex. You can do it with Lex.
Yeah, I absolutely agreed. He has been, at peace for the last couple of years. I don't know if it was the stroke that kind of humbled him or what, but should they let him in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, they should. There's been worse people in the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to name any names, but there was a guy that was responsible for the murder of Bruiser Brody that's in the Hall of Fame right now. You know who it is.
And
I don't need to say any names.
And Snuka.
And Snuka too. Yep.
So and they kept him there. So now, Luger, you got to realize, we're dealing with this whole situation right now. Remember that time that Flair and Hogan hated each other? And we're going to be talking about this on Wednesday night with Pundit. Remember when Hogan and Flair hated each other because Hogan smacked around on David a little bit with that strap, and they well over the lot of time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And they couldn't stand each other for a while. Now they're working together on CBD oil.
Yeah.
When you're old, you shouldn't be holding judgments. That's the whole thing I have an issue with Bret Hart. It's the fact that he keeps calling everybody scum, maggot, all that kind of stuff like that. And he's in his 60s. It's time to let it all go. There has to be a respect to the wrestling community that they went through this kind of pain together.
Real quick, and then we got to get to the next topic.
Cody. No. It's like the biggest thing. It's a tremendous story if it starts because he barely beat Brock. And then he gets his butt kicked by Brock. And then you get to that thing. But here's the issue: why could you have not let him go face some people? Why don't you extend that to the Survivor Series going into the Royal Rumble? Mm-hmm. Why don't you do it then? Because see, what you would do is you would do the Survivor Series, do one more minor pay-per-view, then the Rumble takes it. And then that Rumble would get him, and then you could have Brock win the dang thing.
Yeah.
The Rumble, and then then WrestleMania is their shot.
Their shot could be.
And then WrestleMania, and then see, that can be the thing. And then, then that builds the story. But it's like, that's what I keep saying about creative. Creative is not good. Creative doesn't know how to. I don't know if it's Vince or it's everything like that, but you got to remember there was the extension the other night when what was it, Jimmy or Jay that kicked the Roman?
It was Jimmy that kicked Roman.
Yeah, okay. when Jimmy kicked Roman, he remembered for 2 years. There's no way they probably had 45 creative people by then. Since then, since they kicked it, so there's no question that's their idea.
Yeah,
there isn't a person in creative that knows what to do with that. So Cody, I mean, I would have done it sooner, but they're doing just fine for right that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're at the right pace. I don't know if I would agree with Lesnar winning Royal Rumble 2024, seeing as he's won 2 already, including a recent one in recent years, and he doesn't need the world title again. So I don't know if I go as far as
but
the
I'm thinking that maybe you're right on that. Maybe you're right on that. I'm just thinking of the way to get Cody his.
Oh, okay. I mean, there's been
the
a theory being thrown around that he wins next year's Rumble, and he becomes the first repeat winner since Austin.
Yeah, and it's like, see, and that was the thing. It's like that's just the whole. See, that's what I would have done if you're going to do. All I was meaning by that is that's what I would do if you're going to do the Lesnar deal.
Yeah,
that's all I meant. If you're going to do the Lesnar deal, like just extend that sucker for a while. I mean, you telling me he couldn't face Gunther right now? They talked about Rumble. You're telling me he couldn't face Gunther for the Intercontinental title right now and go beat him? You're telling me he can't go against Rollins because he and Rollins have great chemistry anyway. You can't have another one of those. I mean, just do that. Go all the way to the Survivor Series that way. Just those. Then you're building onto Lesnar, and that's the ultimate deal. Then you go, okay, then forget about that, what I was saying, then go to Roman.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our next topic right here, and that is, should Goldberg's streak have ended at Starrcade 98? Now, they did an interview with Kevin Nash, and at the time period, I believe he actually was one of the bookers. And he actually booked for the streak to end. Goldberg is going on record as saying he doesn't know. He can't say yay or nay if it should have ended at the time period. His streak was something ridiculous, like 178-0 or something like that. But to those who don't remember it, it was a match. Nash won World War III, earned the shot against Goldberg. During the match, Scott Hall surprised everyone by tasing Goldberg. Nash hits the jackknife in 3 count. His first world title since he was Diesel just 4 years earlier. So let me ask you, do you feel like it was time for the streak to end, or should it have gone a little bit longer?
Yes, but I'll tell you this about the streak. The streak needed to end sooner, but the streak needed to end to a guy like Samoa Joe, just like that level of impact. That level of intensity. I'm not saying Samoa Joe was around. I'm saying this, that level of intensity. Even if you were to learn this and make it be, even if you're to make it Chris Benoit. I'm not saying Chris Benoit. I'm talking about intensity.
That's true.
Goldberg's streak. Kevin Nash. This is the thing about Kevin Nash. Tough guy, but he's
Then there's a case for him actually having lost it a month earlier or 2 months earlier to Paige at Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, to me, and you're right on that, but it's like I would have loved it if he would have lost it. If he would have done it, he would have lost it with that cutter, and that would have really put it over as much, even more than it was. But my thing about it is when you put Goldberg over as this overly intense SOB, who has quick matches because he gets to you right away, and he's got moves. He can do backflips, and he's got moves. Sometimes he goes off to the top rope. He does everything that everybody else does, and they're 3-minute matches, and he's got a 3-minute intensity. You can't have the chill dude just go and beat him. And I love Nash, but especially I'm a big fan of his podcast. To me, you got to match the intensity to somebody that if you are matching Goldberg, if you're doing a Goldberg type of match and you're doing the intent, you got to have it where it's intense. The guy, it's somebody that can hurt Goldberg.
Yeah.
Hurt him.
Well, hold on before you continue. I understand that Nash was the chill dude, but at the time he was literally the second biggest man in the company. He's was a 7'1", 350. The only bigger guy was Paul White.
Oh no question about it. But to me, I'm thinking about the way, and I'm a Nash fan actually. I think he's better than they give credit. What I'm and biggest fan of his show, obviously, but I brought that up a couple of weeks ago. The biggest thing I look at with this whole deal is just the way that you build somebody. If you're building someone, like you did Goldberg, You need, and you become Mr. Intense. You need a story where you have someone with that dang much intensity, who, especially when Bobby Heenan said, who could hurt him? How many damn times? Who can get him? Who can get him? And all of a sudden, here's this secret guy. I can't say, and he'd been too young at the time, Samoa Joe. He'd been too young, but I'm just saying, who is this guy? And then no one's ever thrown Goldberg around like that. No one's ever made him miss. No one's ever just laid him out like this ever. Who is this guy? Beat him that way. Then Goldberg has a story. He's got to train harder. He's got to get everything. He lost because he put his eye off the ball. He got too cocky. He could beat anyone. Someone finally got it. There's your story. Now you've got to get. Then you've got to train even harder for the longer matches.
Yeah.
See, if you're going to build Goldberg as that superhero, you got to have the supervillain. You got to have just as much power.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably argue that you could have had Nash be or not Nash, or whoever, you know what I mean, you suggest, be the first to kick out of the jackhammer. Now Goldberg has to go longer.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the thing. I love that Hogan wasn't the one to beat him. I do. Because it has nothing to do with Hogan. Hogan's beaten everyone. He did not beat Goldberg, but I'm saying he's beaten everyone. I'm glad he wasn't it, because like I said, if it was going to have Hogan versus Angle, Hogan would have never agreed to this, obviously, because he wants his character, but I would have had Hogan touch Angle.
Yeah.
I would have had, there's a story again. Hogan's not touching Angle. He is going to get, maybe he's going to get a few in, but he's going to get squashed the way Lesnar squashed him, and he's got to train again over 50 years old if he wants to get back. No, the story beyond for that thing is I've done the same thing for 25 years and won everything, and all of a sudden these guys are bigger, faster, stronger. Now I have to. Now, and then you can bring back the Japan Hogan with those
who was actually a little bit better in the ring.
Yeah, and it's like with the Japan Hogan with some of those moves. Then you can have something like that. Those are the little things that you see. To me, I love selling if selling makes sense.
Of course.
I liked Goldberg because it wouldn't make sense on that. But if you're going to have Goldberg sell, lose everything, to me, it's not Goldberg, because in the end, we kick him in the nuts, he's going down.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the built character. Yeah, it smells like shit. But if you are going to build a character that intense, that superhero-like, you got to have the supervillain.
Of course.
Which means Nash also, if Nash is going to be, Nash bumped too much to be dominant like that. Nash needed to be dominant like that for me to go with it.
That is true, but also keep in mind he powerbombed the Giant not once but twice.
Yeah. Oh no, but I'm talking about he bumped and took the things and he bumped for people and he did all this stuff. He fed them. Mm-hmm. He gave them those things. To me, a Nash would need to be just as dominant in his way for the next couple of months for me to have that belief, that define that dominance. It's like people could get mad that Nash was doing this, but to get Goldberg, you need it.
Yeah. I mean, Nash was a little bit more athletic than people give him credit for. And there's actually justification for me saying that because, well, he did play basketball at the University of Tennessee. So there's that. But speaking of past wrestlers, we're going to go on to our next one, and that is the Blade Runners.
We already talked about this.
Impact as a team versus solo careers. So to those of you all who don't know who the Blade Runners are, the old AWA, American Wrestling Association, there was a Flash and Justice. It was the Ultimate Warrior and Sting. Crazy story because Sting never really got into professional wrestling like that. He actually played football, and then he actually owned like 3 Gold's gyms. So the workout was there, you know, and someone just kind of put him on professional wrestling. He came in with Jim Hellwig, who would later go on to be the Ultimate Warrior. And if any of you have never seen a picture of them in AWA, they were huge. Jacob, I'm telling you, both those guys were 300 pounds.
I've seen them.
Both those guys. Now, Warrior he cut down to about 275. and like Bruce, because like
Well, Sting
he
was
was
about
built like
250. Sting was about 250.
Sting leaned down to about 250, 260, but Warrior he got down to 275 and like Jack, right? But when he was in the AWA, he legit looked like an NFL offensive lineman. He had to be like 3 or 310. You know, but just want to give your thoughts. Want you to give your thoughts about their impact as a team versus their solo careers.
I'll tell you this: when I think about the impact as a team, when I took one look at them, they were terrible. And the thing I'm going to bring this part is if I was Bill Watts, excuse me. If I was Bill Watts, if I was Bert Gagne, I'd try to bring Kurt Angle in from Time Machine. And
of course.
I bring Kurt Angle from a time machine, and this first thing is he's going to tear them both up. Because the one thing I could not stand with that world is showing the bodybuilder side of everything and making.
In all fairness,
that
was the '80s, though. In all fairness, before you continue, that was the '80s. The '80s, that's the reason why. You also got to keep in mind, Sting was a former football player. Former football players make great, professional wrestlers because they already got the athleticism and they have the size. You just got to teach them the technique. Bodybuilders, you just got to teach them the technique because they have the size. So Sting had two things working to his advantage.
Oh, Sting wanted to learn. Ric Flair gave him that whatsoever, and Ric Flair saw everything in that guy. Here's the thing. Sting was not Hogan. He wasn't going to be because it was smaller. But Sting was a tremendous babyface.
Oh, yes.
And to me, his first song beats his second one. As the cartoonish Sting, that first song beats the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it got the kids riled up and they went straight to the near the ring and guy stood right next to him. That other one, the man called Sting, that sounds like a desperation from Eric Bischoff or something like that. Just like, let's find something that people will listen to for CD. And
then they made up for it because when Crow Sting happened, his theme had a legit Batman type feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, Sting. I have a respect for Sting's career a lot. I do have a lot of respect for it. As far as Ultimate Warrior, I don't. I mean, the ultimate. People will bring up Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. Hulk Hogan could wrestle in Japan. Biggest difference means that if any moment came around where you have something that you could even hold an armbar, even just bring them to the ground. Hell, in WrestleMania 5, he put Macho Man down, did a sweep, and put that sweep down and did the armbar.
Yeah, he did.
There isn't a chance in any type that Ultimate Warrior knows that move ever.
Yeah.
He knows how to do it as smooth as Hulk did. So it's like, see, Ultimate Warrior had a phenomenal look and a phenomenal time and a phenomenal everything where you could put. The biggest reason you don't have an Ultimate Warrior instead of Hulk Hogan in movies because how do you promote the name Ultimate Warrior on a movie poster?
Well, how do you promote his persona also? Because pretty much all he did was growl. Hulk Hogan spoke like clear, legit sentences. Warrior was just this like, there's, like that was him. No, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, what do you do with that for like films?
well, another thing with you got to realize another thing between Warrior and Hogan. Watch the WrestleMania 6 and they're doing eye to eye together. Look at Hulk's hands. Look at Warrior's hands. Hogan to this day, I heard an interview with him. He's about 265 now, which is great. I wish he'd get down to about 250. He doesn't need to be having that kind of weight on him anymore. So, but I'm just saying, even to this day, his hands are just monstrous. Ultimate Warrior was obviously steroids because his hands and wrists are not that big. No. He's not naturally that big. His
forearms are, but not his hands.
Right. Oh, yeah, but no, Hulk was on steroids. Don't get that wrong, but Hulk was already big.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the big difference. Which one was legitimately huge? Hulk to this day, even Joe Rogan was saying Hulk is an enormous man still.
Yes! At what, 72 years old?
69. He'll be 70.
69? Yeah. Have you seen his arms? His arms are still the same size as they were in 90.
He's about to be more shredded soon because he'll be about 250, so he's going to be even more shredded.
Yeah, pretty much. And the crazy part is like his arms just didn't lose like size, dude. Like
No.
that's crazy. Like I mean, but the crazy part about even that is his idol, superstar Billy Graham. Well, after retirement, he was still jacked.
I know. Well, that hurt his hip too. That hurt his hip, and he
Hogan,
wanted to keep
hold
his.
on. How many ailments does Hogan have? Bad
Oh yeah.
tailbone, bad knees, bad what? He's
It took
actually more
Hogan.
screwed up than Graham was.
It took Hogan how many times to finally figure out he needed to lose that dang weight? I've been saying this for 15 years. He needs to get down to about 250.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying this for 15 years. He doesn't need to be 300 pounds anymore.
Oh yeah.
He
hadn't been
still got the
300
same
pounds
arms.
since like 91, but
The what?
he hadn't been in the three since probably like 91
Yeah,
or
but he's
92.
he was about 285, 290. He doesn't.
He
need to be
was,
that big.
yeah.
I mean, he need to be. Hulk Hogan at this time with his back need to be about 250 always. He'd still be, and he had been more shredded.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now,
but see that hurt. See that hurt Billy Graham too. He got jacked up like that, and it's like, and then he just kept hurting his hips and doing all that. It's like, truthfully, I mean, Billy Graham needed to do what Hulk just did. Hulk needed to do that a long time ago.
yeah, it's something about getting older, man, because like, and that's what, whenever Triple H retired with his heart condition, and I always wondered how that's going to affect him in the gym, Now he wasn't a super cardio dude like that anyway, but as far as like lifting and everything, like I wonder how that's going to change up. Like
Well,
we'll
he
see
looks
him
about
like
230. He looks about 230 right now from the suit. He looks about 230, 235, which is what Triple H needs to be. He needs to be. He's going to still be shredded. He takes his shirt off. He still looks good, but but he's going to look good. But it's like he doesn't need to be any more than that. The heart condition and everything, he doesn't need to be. Doesn't need to be anymore. He's not going to be bumping anymore. And the only time he needs to get any kind of altercation with anybody is if he's protecting his wife or his kids.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, other than that, do your business. You don't need to be doing this stuff anymore.
And even then, and then we got to close out here. And even still, you say about 6'4", 230, 235. That was the size he was when he first came in.
Yeah. And by the way, let's do the fourth and final.
Okay. Hang on a second.
Fourth and final. We got it.
Well, we kind of had to end at the 27-minute mark, but I can
I'll say it real quick. I'll say this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
This storyline is going to bring SAG to WWE. It's going to bring it. There is Endeavor now. It's going to bring it there, and you're going to start seeing awards and all that kind of stuff, and you're going to see bigger and crazier actual acting classes in WWE now, not just NXT. But you're going to start seeing it more intent after seeing this, because the Usos, that was tremendous acting every bit way, and you don't see great acting in WWE. They were realistic. Yes. Roman was realistic. See, that's why you can't have a Hulk Hogan anymore. I'm just saying, this is why you can't have a Hulk Hogan anymore. Hulk's not an actor.
No,
he's not an actor. Not really. I put him onto the thing, huh?
He's theatrics, but not a legitimate. But then again, none of them are legitimate actors.
Right? No, but I'm just saying he's not a thing. You couldn't have a Hulk anymore because it's theatrics. They're going to be looking at doing this now.
Yeah.
And they're going to be looking at getting this now, and Hulk would have to start in there, to really make it realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we do have to wrap up. Thanks for everybody who tuned in. Thanks to Will Vogel who chimed in with the comments. Everybody have a safe Memorial Day. Have a great evening. Watch the Celtics and the Stars and the Heat and the Golden Knights and all of that. And of course, Monday Night Raw. I'm Denzel Snipes. This is Jake Prisner. See you next week. Later.